of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
It's Monday night at 9 p.m. and time for Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Dr. Ricky Siegel is a certified sex therapist, educator, and supervisor, and his brother Larry Siegel is a clinical sexologist and certified sexuality educator. The Siegel Brothers are here to answer all your questions about sex and sexuality, but we're unsure who to ask, including questions you didn't even know you had. They will also welcome guests from around the globe to talk about a wide variety of topics and issues within the fascinating world of sexuality. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Sex Talk.
Good evening, and welcome to Sex Talk. I am Larry Siegel, a clinical sexologist and certified sexuality educator, and I am going to be going solo tonight. My brother Ricky, the other Siegel brother, unfortunately is not able to make it tonight. Our dad's kind of laid up, so he's sort of staying with him. And again, Pop, get well soon. Please get out of the hospital quickly. If you would like to join our conversation tonight, you can call us at 888-565-1470. And if you're watching us live on Facebook, hello, glad to see you. And you can post a question or a comment through Facebook. But as always, we want you to hit that like and share as often as you can. We're really, I think, lucky to have a very special guest tonight. Joining me tonight is Violet Moon. She's a tantric practitioner specializing in therapeutic sexual healing, where she uses several modalities, including connective breathwork, kundalini massage, yoni healing, and lingam healing. She works with men, women, couples, and anybody else who can walk through the door. Is also available in conjunction with other female practitioners. She can be found in Fort Lauderdale at Classy Massages Spa and is available by appointment. Welcome, Violet.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Okay. If you can step in a little bit closer, make sure that we can hear you in the mic.
Yeah, of course. Better?
Okay. Okay. That's going to be better. So you are a tantric practitioner, a tantriki. Okay, you got to right up on the mic. So we're having so you're gonna have to get really close to the mic. Okay. All right, there you go. We want to make sure people hear what you have to say. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, how you sort of came into this role as a tantric practitioner?
Of course, yes. It's been an incredible journey getting here, and I'm so blessed to share this with everyone and you today. So my path really started with my own sexual awakening. For many, many years, I wasn't really in touch with my body. I wasn't in touch with my sexuality, and I wasn't really connected to anything of the divine feminine essence. And after my yoga teacher training, where we've done Kundalini yoga for 3 weeks, I came home very expansive, and I was feeling a lot of energy moving down my spine. And one day during meditation, I started to feel this rising snake-like energy moving from my root chakra all the way up through my spine. And I started moving and swirling and kind of awakening. And I was like, ooh, like, what is this? And I understood that that was the Kundalini awakening that was started to happen for me. And after that, the exploration with sexual energies began for me. I started to experience the sexual energy outside just the physical touch, and connecting to the chakras and connecting to the expansiveness of myself through the breath, through the yoga, through the movement. And eventually Tantra found me. Somebody came into one of my workshops and she introduced herself as tantric practitioner. And all of a sudden it was like, ding, ding, ding. What is that? I want to know all about it. So my journey of learning and studying and understanding what Tantra was, where it came from, and tantric healing, it all just started making sense because I was doing it in my own life. I was having this sexual healing in my own life, and now I just had the printed information on what was actually happening. So 2 years has gone by now, and I am in a place now where I have been able to share this work with other people and helping other people awaken their own sexual energy and come back into their bodies and activate themselves to their fullest capacity, because sexual energy is the life force. It's the creative energy that allows us to live fully, to live magnificently, and to manifest the life that we want. And why wouldn't people want that? So
one would think.
Yes, so I am here to share how we can do that through my work.
Excellent. And one thing that I have in my own experience in talking with people and even my exposures and experience in and out of the Tantra world, I've found that there's really two kinds of practitioners. There's those that do and those that be. If I can just use bad grammar for a moment. That a lot of, I guess, what I would maybe even refer to as some of the more authentic tantric practitioners, their journey started with their own selves, their own struggles, their own issues. And in working with their own stuff, this discovery, this enlightenment, this, wow, I want to share this with other people, kind of came bubbling to the surface.
Exactly. That's exactly how it happened for me. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So speaking on a topic of being and doing, so in my spiritual journey, I've always heard the message of stop doing and start being. And for the longest time, I didn't understand that because I was trying to do, try to achieve something, when in reality, I just needed to surrender and drop in and just start being and embodying my full expression. And yeah, it's a lot about doing that inner work so then you can have the steps and have the guidance to know how to help others do that same work within themselves.
Yeah, and that's really so important because I mean, it is a discovery.
Yeah.
And, this process of helping people through the things that get them stuck is really a process of discovery. And, I find very few people are really human beings. Right? Most people really are human doings. It seems like that's how we get our sense of self, our identity. We always have to be doing something. And we kind of live in a world where it's all about doing. It's all about productivity. I mean, it tightens my sphincter every time I see a commercial for Red Bull or 5-Hour Energy or all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who wants us to not have that 2:30 feeling? Our bosses, the people who are paying us, who want us to constantly be productive. And I think people have sort of got caught in that loop that they always have to be doing something.
Right.
And as a sex therapist and a sexuality educator, I've found that for a lot of people, especially men, that is probably the single most difficult thing for them to do.
Yeah.
To be able to just exist in that space of pleasure or receiving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you help sort of tune guys into that?
Into that space. Yeah, absolutely. I love that you just brought that up. So on dropping back to the concept of constantly doing, so what it does, it really disconnects you from who you are because you're constantly in your head, you're constantly worried, you're constantly thinking that you need to have something to make yourself feel fulfilled by being active. So in my work, it's a lot about stopping the thoughts. Stopping the crazy worries, the anxiety, the what's going on in an hour, but having people to come in and to be in a space of, okay, I'm here to receive. I'm here to surrender. And that's the hardest part for a lot of my clients is having the willingness to just do nothing, especially for men. They're so used to giving and doing that for them to not have to do any of that is very healing in itself because they're not used to that. And it's that space of discomfort that they drop into through which they awaken the comfort of just receiving and being.
So again, it sounds great on paper, right? I think a lot of us are, trying to help people find that space. So when people are coming to you, right, and again, as somebody who does, as a tantric practitioner, and you also describe yourself as a sexual healer.
Yes.
All right. So people that are coming in for this kind of sexual healing, what are some of the more common issues that people are dealing with? And I'm assuming that most of your clientele are male.
Most are male, but you'll be surprised. I'm actually working with quite a few couples as of late as well. Yeah.
Right. That's why I didn't want to just, assume most
yeah.
of them, but I know you have, probably some women, some couples, maybe, even other types of relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
So looking at just focusing on males right now.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of an underlying theme to the show. You got two middle-aged guys talking about sex. So we want to, often have a male perspective, but a healthier one.
Of course.
focusing more on some of the male clients that you have, is there a common theme? Are there some sort of repeated or more common issues that the men are really coming to you for help with?
Of course. So I think the biggest one is inability to connect intimately with their partners, because they're not open or receptive to that deeper intimacy that women are seeking, and they want to go in and get out. They don't want to take the time to connect, to receive, to talk, to experience intimacy that is non-sexual. So that is what I teach a lot in my sessions, of how can you experience intimacy without sexual action, and how can you connect to your partner in a way that he or she will be fulfilled.
Okay, now I want to ask a question on behalf of the vast majority of men out there. What do you mean by intimacy?
Intimacy.
Right?
Yeah.
Guys have been hearing for years that we have difficulty with intimacy.
Yeah.
And most guys really do. But I think there's always been that piece of, okay, I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
Right? What does it mean to be intimate, especially on a deeper level?
Of course. So I will say this: intimacy has nothing to do with sex. Once again, intimacy is not about sex at all. It's about dropping into your heart and being there, present with your partner, giving him or her your undivided attention and your presence. Women mostly desire your presence. They want to know that you're paying attention, that you're here with me, that you can hold space, that you can hear me, that you can see me, that you can relate to what it is that I'm feeling. And the most intimate moments are not even sexual. Most intimate moments can be sitting on a porch in the morning, having coffee with your beloved, and just hearing about her struggles. And just hearing her. You don't have to give reply. You don't have to give her solutions, but making yourself present for her.
I want to interrupt you right there,
Yeah.
because that really warrants repeating. All right? So guys especially, please hear this. And again, we're talking heterosexually in the moment. All right? We're talking about a male-female couple. So in that situation, guys, listen. It's all you got to do. Just listen. And that is one of those sort of male traits. You know, I mean, we are different. And that, I know, for so many women can be unbelievably annoying. Right? Wanting to talk things through, wanting to, and again, women do process a little bit differently. And I can only imagine how annoying it is for the guy to be there. Well, just do this. Why don't you do this? Why don't you say that? Well, just do that. Just go there. Because we're more product oriented.
Right.
So it's that sense of doing that guys get caught up into.
Right.
So sometimes, and this I agree is a really key part of intimacy, just being able to listen, right? Not having to do anything. And that's not an easy thing to do, because that also requires something I think a lot of guys have difficulty with, and I'm sure it's something that you do work with a lot of guys on. You know, the term intimacy kind of innermost, right? Allowing our real self to be seen. And that's not something a lot of guys are comfortable doing.
No.
Because we want the persona.
Yeah, the mask.
Right? We want people to see us in a way we want them to see.
Yeah.
Right? That
so-
we feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
So how do we get guys to drop that mask?
The persona, yeah. So I'm going to touch on a little bit on the persona. So we actually do put on masks. And I think the more conscious you become, the more you start to realize of the mask that you have on. But before you can take that mask off, you have to know who you are underneath. And that's where the journey begins. That's where the healing begins, sexual healing, whatever you want to call it. It's the awakening of who you truly are. So for men to be able to sit there with a woman who can truly see them, they don't have a choice but to show who they are. And that's what I do during my sessions. I look at men and I allow them to be seen without, hiding who they have to be. And that's I think also part of a woman is to be able to hold space for a man and not judge him, not assume that he has to be a certain way, and to just hold space for him as well to be vulnerable. Because men are very vulnerable. A lot of men I see, they come to me and they cry because they've never been seen before. because they have to be strong, they have to be courageous, they have all these expectations that their wives, their girlfriends put on them that it's so much pressure. So when they come and they are being held, and sometimes I literally just hold. I will hold a client with my hands over their heart, and they will just cry. Because in that space, that's where the transformation takes place, because you don't have to pretend. So to let go of the mask, you have to be around somebody who can hold space. And unfortunately, a lot of people are in places where they don't feel safe to do that. And that's the relationship dynamics. That's the sacred sexuality, the sacred conscious relationships that we are waking up to, is where both partners are conscious about how they're holding space for each other.
Nice. Do you find that guys are able to really kind of give that up and be in that vulnerable space with you? And I'm asking from the basis of, you're obviously a very beautiful woman, right? There's a very strong kind of, lack of a better word, because I'm old, sex appeal that comes from that, which I think is a kind of energy that a lot of guys have a hard time being vulnerable to. So do you find that there's, sort of breaking down that you have to do before
Absolutely.
you can get them into that space?
Absolutely. And that's the process of my tantric healing work, is that we don't just meet and we jump into the session. I have a special process. My sessions are a minimum of 2 hours, because I need the time to break down the wall. A lot of times, clients come, their shoulders are up, they're really tense, they're not being really friendly, and they're not being very open. So I start out by a conversation. And, I start asking them questions that kind of lead into a little bit of openness. And then I see where the boundaries are. I can pick up the boundaries and, okay, so here's a place where I can go past, and here's the place where he's not going to go past. So for me, the process is to first build connection. You don't go working with somebody's sexual energy without building a connection and building trust, because that's a dangerous space. And that's the thing with the sacred work of Tantra, is that you have to have integrity. You have to be in a space of honor and honoring not just the work, but somebody else's energy as well. And some people are not ready to go into certain places. So as a practitioner, I should know that, and I shouldn't force them to go there.
Yeah, I imagine it can be kind of tough sometimes, because, I think one of the greatest dichotomies and ironies in life is that sex and sexuality has always been and is, for so many, a part of this, again, sacred aspect of our humanity. Yet it is probably the single biggest and deepest source of shame and pain for a lot of people. Right? So that's, we're wanting this coin to stay on one side sometimes, and I don't know that that's something that we can always do. So the work, it obviously cannot be easy. There are, I'm sure, going to be very challenging aspects of it. Could you maybe take us through what a typical session might be like?
Of course. Yeah. So as always.
And knowing them just as a qualifier that there probably are not that many typical sessions, because again, the uniqueness everybody brings.
Yeah.
But if you can maybe, as typical as a session can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, everybody's different. So the process is a little bit different with depending who needs what. But typically we start with a conversation. Once I am very specific with who I work with. I don't work with everyone. So when you inquire about connection with me, there's questions that I'm going to ask you. I'm going to need to see who you are. I'm going to need to feel your energy to make sure that you're coming with the right intentions as well. Because like I said, to me, the integrity of this work is of most importance. So,
and can I ask you right there, how is it that you look at, you're sort of, I guess, judging intention?
Intention,
right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking for?
So I ask them, what their familiarity is with Tantra, if they are familiar with energy work, if they do any sort of movements, yoga, body flow, anything that gets them connected to their body. I ask them, what their awareness is of the session, if they had any sort of tantric healing sessions before. Because a lot of times I want somebody who's completely new, because to me it's actually easier rather than somebody who had an experience before and then they come with their own expectations.
Right, sure.
So so following, we meet and we connect. So the session starts by me figuring out, why are you here? What are you searching? And we kind of figure out what works for you. So in classic massages, we offer different modalities, different practices. Depending on how open a person is, we might start with yoga, opening the body. So for me to do what I need to do, I need you to get out of your head. And that's the hardest part. That's why we need these long sessions, because I want you to drop into the body. So we'll start with yoga. Sometimes I do Kundalini breath work. I'll do a little bit of meditation. And a lot of men actually don't really do meditation. So for them, it's like, wow, it's amazing.
You mean sit still and quiet?
Yes, yes. So just those few moments right there, 10 minutes of just connecting and meditation, that already is a huge step. So following that, I do crystal healing work. So I'll sit with them and I'll apply crystals and I'll ask them how they feel. And this is where I also give the healing hands to them. I'm not a healer who's healing you, but I'm giving you the opportunity to see how this makes you feel. So we do energy clearing. I use selenite, we use black tourmaline. So different crystals to elevate the energy and also cleanse and purify. Okay. So then we connect to the body. So now that they're in the body, I start to work on awakening their senses. Part of my Tantra work is connecting to the senses and help you feel more in your body. So through smell, through taste, through sights, through touch, through hearing, I play very specific music. Everything's very intentional. I use essential oils. I use herbs. I sometimes make tea for the flavors. And then I start with the chakra massage. So the chakra massage, now that we activated the body and the energetics, we're now working, combining the two, awakening the energy, awakening the senses. And then depending on the client's needs, I might incorporate the Japanese Nuru style massage, which is a really sensual body-to-body massage, incorporating of a lot of relaxation. It almost induces trance-like states of being. So that's the place where men can really surrender and feel peace. And in that trance space is where things start to shift. This is where awakening happens. This is where they start to realize that there's more to life. Sessions usually end within 2 to 3 hours, depending on how much work there is to be done. Lingam massage might be at place, maybe just holding, maybe just cuddling, and just giving them what it is that they need. Because a lot of men, they just want to be nurtured. And that's what my sessions are. It's pampering, it's nurturing, it's working with you and giving that inner child that you've been hiding because you have to pretend to be the strong man, is to give that inner child love that he craves.
Sure.
And that's what my sessions are.
Yeah, for years I've been saying that. I don't care how powerful, I don't care what the status of a guy is, what he's achieved, how much he has, regardless of anything. Inside every man is still a little boy that wants to be patted on the head and told everything is okay. And we never, ever, ever grow out of that. Part of what you do, you also mentioned, again, there's the Kundalini yoga, there's the lingam massaging. What does that involve? Because I know, especially for guys, I think we're more used to hearing women talking about these because, again, it is more in the context of that self-connection. Right? For guys that have never experienced that or not familiar with that, what does that look like? What does that involve?
Of course. So this is where we get to work with the sexual energy. This is where, it's not only just the hands-on work, but it's also guiding and mentoring about what does the sexual energy feel like? What does it feel like when it's cultivated at the base of the spine? And I cultivate sexual energy through touch, through Kundalini massage, through chakra massage. So once that energy is felt, and that's not going to be with everyone. Remember, most people, they don't know what their energy feels like. So to get to a point of working with lingam massage and actually using sexual energy, pulling it up through their body with intention to, create healing, that doesn't even happen in the first few sessions. And then lingam massage is a space in which there is no expectation or a goal. This is a true place of surrender where you are receiving without a goal. There is no pressure to go, to do, to be anything. And it's just different techniques and different strokes that allow for you to be devoted to. To me, lingam massage is a devotional act to the divine masculine.
Yeah, and it's very similar, I think, in some ways, and especially as you're describing it, to what in sex therapy we often refer to as non-demand pleasure. What Masters and Johnson, originally called sensate focus, where the job of the partners, and this is something that they share with each other, but again, something that most men have the hardest time with, just being in that place of receiving pleasure.
Right.
Not doing anything. I mean, most guys, and even most guys don't really get it for themselves. They oh no, I can just lay there and let my partner pleasure me. Yeah, but how often do you have to reach and grab something and touch something here and do something over here? It's almost automatic.
Yeah.
So to get guys to that place, right, and that is the place where healing occurs.
Yeah.
Right? That is the place where they're in touch with that energy.
Yeah.
Right? We need so much more of that.
We do.
Right? We really
and it's
do.
awakening. It's awakening. I'm really proud to be in a space now where I'm seeing that sacred sexuality is on a rise, and that people want to learn more about it. They want to learn. They want to understand their bodies, because that's the life force. That's that vitality that I mentioned in the beginning that helps us manifest and to create the lifestyle that we want. So it's a powerful work, and like I said, to me, it's very sacred. It's devotional. Every session is a devotion to the person that comes to me. It's almost the ritual. Not almost, it is. It's the ritual to the divine, and you and I are both the divine.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of the essence of Tantra, that we kind of are our own deity?
Yes.
And kind of being able to sort of create this altar, this way of being able to celebrate our own sacred or divineness is something that most people, again, we just, the culture that we live in is just so against that idea.
Yeah.
Right?
So what I love about part of the work that I do, so in my Tantra, I also do bhakti devotional rituals. So bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion. So there's specific rituals that I practice with clients, and also in my workshops when I teach, to build intimacy. So once again, we're not talking about intimacy through sex, but intimacy through action. Simple things like, using essential oils and devoting your partner with essential oils, taking flowers and using the flowers to, petal through the face. So those are just little acts of love that we can give to each other that help us awaken more to love.
Yeah, and connecting to our sensual selves as well.
Yes.
And again, looking at the erotic, the sensual, the sexual, the sacred, the pleasurable, all of these things can be unique unto themselves. But I think, the bad learning, I guess, is just that it's sex.
Yeah.
It just gets that big umbrella. Yeah. So we're kind of approaching our end. I told you, this goes really fast.
It does.
And sort of a good kind of hazard, I guess. You are in Miami or Fort Lauderdale?
I am in Fort Lauderdale.
Right, in Fort Lauderdale. And how could people get a hold of you if they want to schedule
Yes,
a session?
You can find me on classymassages.com under the Violet Moon link.
All right. And as we move forward, right, we got all this stuff that's going on. We, multiple times a day, we have horrible things happening, mass shootings. We have a president who is basically turning the world on its ear. Final parting word.
Connect to the body so that you can find yourself in it.
Absolutely. And that will help us connect to each other. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you coming in. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Join us next Monday and every Monday, 9 p.m. Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Have a great week. Thank you.
You've been listening to Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Join us every Monday night at 9 p.m. on WNN, 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. Or watch live streaming video at AMP2 TV Productions on Facebook, or look for the shows on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us again next week.